Okay, I am going to recreate this advent calendar that my mom made a very long time ago. It's really fun and unique. Not everybody else is going to have the same advent calendar. It will last you a lot of years. White felt or a kind of a cream or an eggshell, and then I have the green felt for the tree. I'm going to do an ornament out of this gold. I'm going to do the Santa Claus and the stocking with the red. I'm going to do, instead of a drum, I'm going to do a present, and I have some ribbon with that. I'm going to do the reindeer, but instead of a bell, I'm going to do a gingerbread out of this brown. And instead of cut out the felt antlers, I'm going to use pipe cleaner. For now, I might switch it up, but I'm going to use this sequin as a collar on the reindeer. Little pom-pom for the nose. Also on the gold ornament, I have some gold glitter just to make it even more gold. I have some number stencils and a sharpie. I'm just going to use that on the stencils, and some paint. I'm gonna paint on the eyes and the buttons on the gingerbread. Also for the gingerbread man, I have some rickrack. And then on the tree, to help the ornaments hang, I'm going to put these little lights kind of zigzagged across. Some ornaments. I have this rope ribbon and a dowel, and I'm going to hang it with that. I have this ribbon for the trim, and I have a measuring tape and seam gauge, some thread, and some needles. I'm going to use this for the fur trim on the Santa hat and the stocking. And then I have some fabric glue. So what we're going to do is just see how square this is. And if it's not square, we are going to straighten it up. These edges will be completely straight because that is from the manufacturer. This is the person who cut the fabric for me. I'm going to trim it up just the slightest. I'm just using the little edge in my table here to see how straight it is. But I'm not going to be too worried about it because I'm going to show you what we're going to do to make this edge look nice and straight. And make sure you're using felt, because if you don't, it will fray. I feel pretty good about that. Let me show you what we're going to do to cover up that edge. We will add this trim, and we'll add it just slightly over the edge so it will straighten up everything behind it. Now we are going to do 25 inches. Mark it off. I'm going to mark on both sides and then move down a little bit. We're just going to keep doing that. Make sure you're keeping that nice and straight. Make sure you're using fabric scissors or your sharpest scissors, or buy some new scissors. But remember, we are going to cover this. The only thing that we are going to do different is we are going to make the top pocket out of this. And you always want to be pointing towards the next dot. And also we are going to iron this, because there's some folds and lines. So this bottom pocket is just folded up like this. This top part that the dowel goes through is just folded down. So this one's going to come up This one's gonna go back. The top pocket, this is a totally separate piece. I'm gonna just do the bottom pocket for now. So you wanna iron it so that it has a nice smooth finish. It is 4/75 of an inch, so, or 4 3/4, however you wanna say it. So if you have the seam gauge, the nice thing is set it at that point, and then come here. We're going to do the 2 outside ones first. And because we're going to sew this one, I'm going to pin it this way. That way when we sew it, we don't have to remove that. The ones in the middle, I'm gonna put wherever, because those we won't be sewing right now. We'll go back and measure those out. Okay, and then we wanna make sure this is nice and square and smooth, but just so we iron it nice and flat, we'll add some of these. Come and check it. That's good. That's good. Okay, so I will go iron this and come right back. What we're doing is we're going to make that pocket. So it's going to be 25 inches by the 4 3/4 of an inch. So you want to come and do the marking, mark it. Make sure you try to keep that as even as you can. Keep coming down. So I'm gonna come in here, but I'm only coming in this far to the 4.75 or 4 3/4 inch. I'm gonna start on this side and come down and cut it to here, and then come in from this, cut it here, so I get a nice corner. Okay, so we have ironed this, we have cut this top pocket, and we will put this aside for now and work on this bottom pocket. And we are going to measure 4.75 in. Draw a really light line. Okay, just to make sure I don't get some kind of crazy slant, I'm going to start on this side and go in, because in case it's somehow off, it will equalize itself in here. By the way, if you are gluing it, I would say draw these lines on the opposite side, glue it all when it's out flat, and then put it up. All right, now we just need to sew it. We're going to get this ready. First, we're gonna just measure these out again. We're just gonna measure it the same. We're gonna figure out where to place it on here. We'll do an inch at the top. So we want to go 8 inches down. Bring this down 8 inches. So after I go down this way, I'm just barely gonna go along the very bottom here, as close as I can to the edge. Then I will just start straight from there. Now I'm just going to do the individual sections, and I will come back to you when that's all done. So now we're going to fold down that inch at the very top. So this is where the dowel will go through to hang it. This is what it's looking like so far, because I didn't realize that the camera wasn't running. But I will show you exactly what I did down here. And this is just fabric glue or tacky glue. I folded over, add a little dot of glue at the top and make sure it's going the same direction. Do that way it doesn't have a raw edge showing. And then I'm going to get on top of what I just put down. And then I pin it down. I'm not going to leave it until it dries. I'm just going to leave it for a little bit to help it stay flat. Now we're just going to go straight across here. We do not need to fold these edges over because in the end the ribbon will go all the way down and it will cover that raw edge. And you want to push down to get that glue to infuse into the fabric. Just a little short of the edge is what we want to do. I'm going to take these out, just kind of push them so that they dry flat. So we're going to cut out the pieces in the center. So I have made these patterns out of tissue paper. And then obviously when we put them on, we'll turn them over so we don't see the tracings. So I've laid these out to kind of get an idea of where they're going to go. So I have decided that I'm going to sew these side pieces on. You can roll this or fold it, but when you sew it, it's even more flexible. So I'm going to do that. And I also need to paint this face bottom piece. I'm going to get a little bit on the brush. And honestly, you can just buy a piece of felt that is skin color. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. So I'm gonna get the red thread and I want it to go the same direction that I have all of these little ones. Just like with the glue, I'm gonna just fold it under to start out with. And then the bottom of it, I'm going to fold under here. I'm going to go through the back. I'm going to try to head right down the middle. I'm just going to do a stitch all the way down. I probably will not stitch through this glued part, kind of make sure it's nice and flat. And remember, you want it to kind of just come to the edge, but don't be short of easy to learn. Thought I would just check in and show you how I'm kind of doing this. So I go to the front, make sure it's nice and flat, then I flip it over. Then I take a few stitches, okay, then I pull that through. Make sure it's nice in the back, then flatten it out in the front. And I'm coming up to a pin. I will pull it out in just a minute to get a little closer, that way it stabilizes the fabric. And then you just want to flatten it out so that it keeps it nice and flat. Okay, we are going to put the tree on. Try to get it centered. Pinning this on. The felt is easy to stretch, so it helps to stabilize it on the bottom. And we're doing 2 pieces of felt here. I'm going to go from the underside, but I'm going to sew it from the top. I have sewn this on, and next we're going to lay out these items here. So this one's going to be tipped, and this one's going to be tipped also. I'm going to pin it in place, but make sure if you have any lines from what you sketched out that it's on the back side. And make room for the little bow you're going to have on top there. Now I'm going to pin these down. I'm not going to pin this one because I'm going to glue the whole thing together so it's one whole piece when you reach into the pocket. I want it in place so that I have it marked out and mapped out with the other ones. And remember when you sew these or glue them to leave open the parts you want to leave open. I'm going to move this over just for a minute and bring over the glue. I'm going to push down a little bit so it infuses into the felt. Okay, I'm going to let it dry here. So just like with the other one, the ribbon and the tree, I'm just going to hand sew. So I will do that and come back and show you what it looks like. So all of these sewn on, but this one, I just want to put them back. We're going to have a little pom-pom here, trim a fur here, and I'm going to sew from about here around to here. So leaves about that much open. I'm going to just add a few extra stitches here to secure it and make it so it's not a weak point when people are grabbing in. Okay, and after we do this, I'm going to glue like Rudolph's nose on, little collar here. I'm gonna glue some glitter on the ornament, the fur on the stocking, some ribbon on the present, some rickrack on the gingerbread man, and the fur on Santa Claus, and then paint on a couple eyes. And then we have the numbers, so we're coming in the home stretch. I think it's looking really good. So here it is, so we can hang it up. And I usually make it a surprise for what candies are going to go in it. Just put in as many candies as you have kids or family members, whatever you're gonna do. So if you just have one, put it in there. You could put them all the same, but I like to switch it up and do different candies on different days. You're gonna put the ornaments in there, put the candies in there, and so when it's December 6th, come, let them get out their candy and the ornament, and then they can choose where on the tree they want to hang their ornament. I sometimes like to do something a little more special coming up to Christmas Eve. So you can do it just on Christmas Eve, you can do it on half of these or all of these. Try to do like a little special Santa or reindeer. So put it in there. If it's something a little bit bigger, I will wait until the night before. And so the next day when they go to do it, it might be a little candy cane thing hanging out of the top. And so it just makes it a little bit more exciting and more fun as it gets closer that there's something a little more special hidden inside. This is it. Give it a try. I want to wish you a happy holiday season and Merry Christmas. Please go out there and make the most of it and really enjoy this holiday and spend time with your friends and family and the people who are important.